Your deep knowledge of the history of the neighborhood, as well as what's planned for its future, made all the difference and went far beyond the mere listing description. So a few weeks ago, I received an email from some clients after they settled into their home in South Boulder. And while it's nice to hear all these complimentary words and really get that 5-star review, so to speak, what really stopped me in my tracks was one sentence that they shared at the beginning of the email. The sentence was this: your deep knowledge of the history of the neighborhood, as well as what's planned for its future, made all the difference and went far beyond the mere listing description. And what does that mean? Well, what I took from that is the knowledge and the understanding of the area, of the hyperlocal neighborhood, is what enabled us to hone in on that house and let them pick the right home for their lifestyle. I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're shopping for a home and moving to Boulder or Boulder County is that they look at the house first. They look at the stats, the specs, the bedroom count, the square footage, the number of garage bays, all that stuff, versus what lifestyle do I want? How do I want to live on a daily basis? If you start there, it's a game changer, because then you can avoid these massive mistakes that folks make all the time when relocating. The mistake is that you see a home and it looks perfect on paper. It does have the right size. It does have the right layouts. It has the views, and it maybe even has those perfect updated countertops in the kitchen. But what it doesn't have is easy walkable access to your kid's school or the park that you want to frequent. Or maybe it's making you jump in the car to grab that morning coffee. Or maybe you can't ride your bike to the trailhead that you want. Or maybe you just can't get there because it's prohibitive for your time schedule. What I see far too often is folks selecting the right house, but then they realize it's not allowing them to live the right lifestyle. And believe me, it's super hard to buy a new house 6 months after buying your new house. Let's talk about all of the lessons, or at least 3 of them, that I can break down and chisel out of this experience from these buyers that just moved here from out of state. So lesson number 1 is this: houses are easy, lifestyles are not. So a house is easy to understand from the surface and while looking at it online. Number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, garage, square footage, mountain views, countertops, updates, all that stuff is easy. It's very easy for anyone to look in and see that. But what's not easy is to understand, do my neighbors gather outside and get to know one another? Can my son ride his bike to the park safely? Can my daughter walk to school alone with her friends? Or am I able to grab coffee in the morning without jumping in the car? All of those things are items that do register on people's list as important parts of their lifestyle, and not everyone's the same. So what happens is, when I look at lesson number 1, is I realize that a good agent will know the stats and the neighborhood and the schools, but a great advisor is the one that can sit down and say, how do you envision your life here in Boulder? How do you want to see the day-to-day? Because if I capture that first, then I can turn you toward the houses that are great and will enable you to live that lifestyle. But more importantly, I could stop you or sort of put the barriers up in front of the houses that I think are going to prevent you from living those lifestyles. And here's the phrase that they also shared in that email that I really liked. They said, your perspective helped us look beyond what the house itself was offering. That's so cool, because it really does say the house is important, but what's outside the house and what the house gives me access to is what counts the most. So lesson number 1, don't make that mistake. First, dive in to exactly what your lifestyle should be before you find the house and choose it. Lesson number 2, the wrong neighborhood can make the right house feel wrong. And here's what that means, because it happens more often than you think. Let's say you're deciding between 2 homes. One has an extra bedroom, one's got a little bit more square footage, one's got maybe the 2-car garage, or it's a little bit, bigger, more nicely done. And the other one's a little bit more expensive, but it's a little smaller, but it's in a little bit better neighborhood where folks do gather outside, where folks can walk to school, where you do have that quiet, easy access to the neighborhood amenities. If you spend a little more and get a little less house, you're going to end up ticking the boxes that you wanted to tick in your home search, in your new life in Boulder. If you choose the bigger house that maybe has a few more amenities, but it's in the wrong neighborhood, you've managed to strike out. So how do we do that? Great question, because it sounds really easy to say, oh, yeah, that's right, pick the lifestyle. But this is what I do when someone comes to me and says, I want to move to Boulder. I help them understand by asking this: what's your ideal Saturday look like? What's your ideal Tuesday night look like? What are the top priorities of you on a day-to-day basis? Because where you live is where you live. And that sounds very obvious, but you're not going to want to be in South Boulder if all your kids go to school in North Boulder. You're not going to want to be hitting Pearl Street all the time from Gun Barrel. All of these things are real examples that people get into the house and they realize after it's too late, I'm not living the lifestyle that I want. I have to commute to it. I have to drive to it. And so I really take the time to first address what lifestyle are you trying to capture when you come to Boulder County. Then we work backwards, find the neighborhoods that work for those. And there are usually a few, there's usually a couple per set of characteristics. And then once we have the neighborhood, we start to find the houses that fit those people and their budget. So this is the thing. If you're relocating from somewhere else outside of Colorado or outside of the county, it can be very difficult to understand this. What's the neighborhood like? But also, where was it and where's it going? Because when things happen, you get somewhere and then you realize there are changes coming that you didn't anticipate, be it changes to the traffic patterns, to the roads themselves, or the neighborhoods. We don't have a lot of new build going on, but when we do, is it going to impact the place where you land? With deep and vast experience here in this area, I'm able to come in and know a lot about each particular neighborhood, each zone in Boulder, and share that with you as you select what is right for you. So lesson number 3, community isn't something you buy. And here's what I mean. Towards the end of the email from these clients, they said something that really meant more to me than anything in the whole email. They said, it feels really good to be here. It feels really good to be here. They didn't say, you know what, I've got these amazing countertops. I love my house. I love the views even from the inside. I love the layout. They didn't focus on that. They talked about how they had already met neighbors in the Shanahan Ridge area. They talked about the warmth they felt in that community. Think about that for a second. That's the money. That's the gold. They got into a home that had some things they wanted, but they got into a community that offered them welcome arms. They felt warmth. That meant so much. So in the end, as they're talking about the lifestyle that they're embracing, that's the outcome we're after. That's what we're looking for when we help you move here. We want you to feel that warmth. I want to get that email from you saying, it feels right to be here. And when it feels right to be here, let me tell you, you're not going to be going back and saying, I remember the inspection report, or I remember the appraisal, or all those things you negotiated. All that stuff is forgotten. What you remember and what sticks with you is the way you feel, the community, the space that you are entering into. So if you're thinking about moving to Boulder County, I'd encourage you to ask a different question. Don't ask the question, which house should I buy? Do not begin there. Ask, what lifestyle do I want to live? What community do I want to be a part of? What is my daily life meant to look like when I move to Boulder? Do you want to drive more? Do you want to drive less? Do you want to know the neighbors? Do you want to walk to the parks? Do you want to ride? Do you want to cycle out your door? Do you want to hike, run on the trails? What's the priority when you come here? Is it easy access to downtown? Want to walk to Pearl Street? Walk to a grocery store? Those are the questions we have to start with. And those are the answers that start us on our journey. That's where I can then take the information and shoot you toward the right houses that will be in the space or in the place that meet your criteria. Again, it's easy to find the right house on paper. Square footage, bathroom count, bedroom count, easy cheesy. But what we strive for here is to land you in the place that makes you feel right. So if you're thinking about moving to Boulder or Boulder County, and you're trying to figure out which neighborhood to be in, I would love to help guide you towards where you can live your ideal lifestyle. The questions we ask at the beginning make all the difference. I'd love to help you on that journey. And my name is Michael with Lovato Properties. So please reach out. I'd love to get started and help you answer the questions that get you to the life that you really want to live. Before I ever start sending listings, I want to understand exactly the lifestyle that you're hoping to live here in Boulder. I'd love to have that conversation, because helping people choose the right lifestyle, well, that's a lot more rewarding than helping them find just a house.